What's up, everyone? Welcome to the How to Vegan podcast. I'm your host. That sounds so weird every time I say I'm your host. Anyway, I'm your host. My name is Kristen, and on today's episode, I am going to be sharing my top 5 tips for new or aspiring vegans. So whether you're interested in going vegan or you're already vegan but you're needing some extra motivation, these tips are going to be perfect for you. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, then what's up? I'm super stoked you're tuning in. And if you've listened before, then hey, I'm so glad you're back. This is the 4th episode I've recorded of this podcast. So I feel like I'm like starting to get the hang of things, but like, who knows? We're just figuring it out. I'm just going for it. Anyway, if you guys are liking what you're hearing so far, then please go leave a review and a rating in iTunes. That is super awesome. If you do that, it really helps push the podcast up so more people see it, which is my goal. We want lots of people learning about veganism and all that stuff. So thank you to those who already have left a review. Y'all are awesome. I really appreciate it a lot. So thank you. Alrighty, so now let's just dive into the topic at hand, my top 5 tips for new or aspiring vegans. These tips are really great to share with any family and friends that are going vegan, so feel free to share this podcast episode with anybody that you think might benefit from it. And if you're a new or aspiring vegan, then I hope these tips are super helpful for you. I wish when I first went vegan that I would have known about these tips or someone would have talked to me about these things like this. So I'm hoping that this episode is a really helpful one. So yeah, let's just dive right into the topic. So let's just dive right into today's episode. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching the unedited version. There's totally edited versions of this podcast on my How to Vegan podcast channel on iTunes and SoundCloud, and it's also up on my website. But I'm doing an unedited video version for all of you guys watching on YouTube. So all of my looking at my screen, all of my prepping and planning and and my cat interrupting and all that stuff, we're just doing unedited because I just want to post the video and not have to worry about editing it because I already have a YouTube channel where I do a lot of editing. So if you're watching the unedited version, then what up, y'all? Super stoked you're watching. I like watching people do unedited stuff. Okay, anyway, let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing that I just highly recommend, no matter what, is to educate yourself. This is huge, like so huge. This is the most important step, clearly. That's why it's number 1. Knowledge truly equals power. I'm sure you've heard that before. Knowledge equals power, and maybe not even really thought about it before, but it is so true, especially when it comes to what you're putting in your body and how it affects the environment around you. So being aware and not just being ignorant is huge, and educating yourself and taking responsibility for doing so in whatever way you enjoy most is so powerful. So just remember that by educating yourself more, you are gaining more power over yourself and over your actions and eventually over how you feel, which is great. So knowledge equals power, bottom line. Keep that in mind. And a lot of people don't want to realize this when they first start hearing people talking about veganism, and they're just kind of like, I don't want to know about what happens in factory farms. I don't want to know how bad it is for me. I don't want to know how horrible it is for the environment. And if you're wanting to kind of learn more about all those things I just mentioned, definitely check out episode 3 of the How to Vegan podcast, because I dive into that a lot deeper there, and it's really helpful if you're not aware of some of those things. So go check that out if you haven't listened to that one yet. But yeah, I just think that educating yourself and not just turning away from things is so important, and it's taking responsibility for things that really need to be discussed and acknowledged. And there needs to be something done about it, which I think veganism is a great way to do that. So one of the first things I think you can do is just to watch as many documentaries as possible. So you see all sides of things, like all the sides of the things, all of the sides. I think that, popping on Netflix, I watched Forks Over Knives. That's why I went vegan. What the Health, that came out like in March, and holy shit, my group on Facebook, my How to Vegan Facebook group grew so fast because I think so many people were just like, what is this movie? What is this about? And they were interested. It was on Netflix. I think my cat wants inside, but I might not let him inside. And so, because he's really annoying. And so a lot of people started joining my group and asking questions, and there was such a big noticeable growth expansion in my group. I think we grew by like 50,000 people in 2 months, which was insane. So these documentaries can be really life-changing, and it can be hard to get to sit down and actually watch them and take the time and to do it. But once you do it, you are going to just be educating yourself and making yourself more powerful, and your choices are just much more informed. So Forks Over Knives, like I said, is a really great one. What the Health was super powerful. If you're more into the environmental side of things, check out Cowspiracy. If you're more into the ethical side of things, definitely try to watch Earthlings. I cannot even stand to watch 1 minute of it because it's all about animal cruelty and torture and all of the horrible, horrible, horrible things that happen on factory farms. But a lot of these are for free on Netflix, and you can totally get like a free 30-day trial of Netflix if you have never had Netflix yet. So just go get the free trial, watch all these movies, and then boom, you've educated yourself. So get your friends and family to watch them with you. Have discussions. Have your friends over one night and watch it and then talk about it and make a healthy vegan meal. I think that documentaries are such a great way to educate yourself. Another thing you can do is go to the library and check out as many vegan cookbooks and books as you can. Like, that's what I did when I first went vegan. I loved the library, so I was like, oh my god, I know what I'm gonna do. So I just went to the library and checked out like every single vegan cookbook, because you can check out as many books as you want. So I just checked out like every single vegan cookbook and read them cover to cover, and I learned so much this way, and it's totally free. These ways of educating yourself are totally free. So the beginning of cookbooks have so much useful information, so don't skip over those, especially if you're just learning how to cook or learning how to store food and all of that stuff. There can be so much useful information in the beginning of the cookbook. Explanation of what ingredients are. So if you're like, what the shit is nutritional yeast and what is tahini? Just go read the beginning of the books. A lot of them are just full of so much information, so don't skip over that part. But then when you get to the recipe part, same thing. Read it like a book. Read through the ingredients, read through the amounts, read the instructions and the directions on how to make the recipe, read any little like notes and tips from the author, because once you do that, you start to cement in your brain ways of cooking that might be different than you're used to. So that's what I did. I just like read a bunch of cookbooks, like front to back. And then like when I was in the kitchen later, even if I wasn't making that specific recipe, I might remember like a little note that one of the authors said about how to best make spaghetti squash or something like that. And then you kind of have a lot of knowledge in your brain. And a lot of times you can just keep these library books for as long as you need and just reference them or go return them and take them back as you want. So I just checked out a bunch of them and noted which ones were my favorite, and then kind of went from there. But yeah, read it from cover to cover and then just absorb as much as you can and just kind of hold that memory in there, and that will be so helpful for when you're like cooking in the future and stuff like that. So, and then if you find some that you really, really enjoy, maybe go buy them or look for them at thrift stores. That's another thing. I found a lot of cookbooks at thrift stores. So keep an eye out for like cheap ways to gather your knowledge, cheap or free. So, you know, another thing is just doing your own research. I think that this is so important, not just taking my word for it, not taking the documentary's word for it, not taking your doctor's word for it, because Lord knows they don't even get an education on nutrition usually, but do your own research. Remember that most studies are funded, and the results of these studies can be biased towards those who funded the studies. So make sure to check your resources and do your own research. There's so much conflicting information out there, especially about nutrition, and doubt is something that a lot of these meat and dairy companies play to. They put out a study that says meat's really not that bad for you, and that little bit of doubt can shift people's minds and make them think, well, that vegan thing's silly because this one person said it's okay. So there's a ton of conflicting information out there. So do your own research. Find a few trusty sources that you know you can refer to when you need to, and if you're looking at a study, take a glance to see who funded the study. A lot of times it'll be a study saying dairy is amazing for you, or red meat is great for you if you have cancer. And then you look who funded the study and you're like, what? The meat industry funded that study? That doesn't make any sense. So they can be really biased. So keep that in mind when you're educating yourself, is check your sources and do your own research. I will definitely leave a list of my top favorites in the description or in the show notes for this episode. So make sure to check those out, educate yourself. I'll leave links for movies and all that stuff. So definitely check those out for sure. So number 1, educate yourself. This is huge. Number 2 would be to keep your why in mind. So whether it's the animals, your health, the environment, or all three, why did you go vegan? Keep that in mind. Keeping your why in mind really helps you stay on track when you feel like deviating. So the next time you feel like reaching for that piece of cheese, try to remember why you made the decision to not eat it in the first place. For me, it's because I literally cannot stand to think about the absolutely awful things that happen on dairy farms. And I talked more about this in episode 3, so if you're interested, go check that out. But there's tons of information in documentaries and on YouTube and all that stuff. So that was what it was for me. And anytime when I first went vegan, it can take about 30 days for the opiate-like chemicals that are in cheese to kind of get out of your body. And after that, after that 30 days is up, for most people, they don't really crave it as much. But for that first little bit, your body is used to it and it's going to want it. So I just would, if I was like, oh, some blue cheese sounds good, or whatever I used to like, I'd be like, wait a minute, okay, let me think about what happened to this mama cow and the baby cow getting ripped away from her so that I can eat some cheese. Is it worth it? No. And it's not even good for me. So I'm just not going to do it. So keep your why in mind. For me, it's just not harming any other living beings, and just helping the environment stay safe and healthy, as well as my body. So keep your why in mind. It can be so helpful. So yeah, anytime I felt compelled to eat something that wasn't vegan, I just go back to my why, and it helps me stay on track. And you can do this however you want to. If you're the kind of person that wants to write things down, maybe write down your why, type it up, send yourself an email, maybe create a vision board, whatever works for you, so that you can kind of always keep it in the forefront of your mind, especially when you're transitioning or just starting out going vegan. That can be huge, is remembering why you're doing it and then staying positive about that and then sticking to it. So keeping your why in mind is huge. And just connect with your why every single day. Just wake up and be like, why am I doing this? Okay, I'm going to stick with this. This is important to me. I know why I'm doing this. So that's my second tip, is to keep your why in mind. The third thing that I always recommend, my third tip, is to start simple and start small, or go at your own pace. So just find what works for you. Even if that's just cutting out meat at first and then doing dairy and then maybe cutting out eggs and then honey and then eventually not wearing any leather or wool or fur or going to rodeos or zoos or using makeup or other household products that were tested on animals or involved any kind of cruelty at all. Or if you're the kind of person like me who can just watch a documentary like Forks Over Knives and go vegan overnight, then do that. But find what works for you. For most people, it's kind of the going slow route, transitioning at a pace that feels right for them. So maybe cutting out meat and then, cutting out dairy, like I said, and just doing it in your own way. Or you can start by making one vegan meal a week and then adding on from there, or one vegan meal a day, and just experimenting more and here and there and just learning as you go and keeping your why in mind, but knowing that it's okay to go at your own pace. Make this your own journey. Don't worry what anybody else is doing. Don't worry about it. You're on your own journey and you know why you're doing this and it's important to you. And if you're educating yourself and you're keeping your why in mind, just go at your own pace. Do what feels right for you. Join some Facebook groups, kind of get some recipes gathered, and then just do what feels right for you, or else it's going to become way too overwhelming and you're not going to do it, and you're going to just be like, this is too hard. I can't do this, and you're just going to back out, which is just not the point of keeping your why in mind. It doesn't get you closer to your goal. So start simple and start small, or go at your own pace, whatever that is for you. And it might take you some time to figure it out, and that's totally okay too. But this is your journey, and literally just really don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Don't compare yourself. This is just your journey. So start simple, start small, go at your own pace was tip number 3, which kind of leads us into tip number 4, which is don't beat yourself up. This is huge because this can be really easy to do. you decide to go vegan, and then you're like so stoked about it. You're like, yeah, I'm doing this vegan thing, and then you eat something that has cheese in it, or you find out something that you were told was vegan at a restaurant hasn't been all these years or all these months or whatever, or your friend gives you a cookie and you feel bad and you don't know what to do, so you eat it, or you have a craving for chocolate and the only thing you have on hand has milk in it and you eat it. It's okay. Do not beat yourself up. Life isn't perfect. We're not perfect. We're all human beings. So this isn't a competition with anybody, including yourself. And keep that, just remember that you have to do it in a way that feels good for you. And there are going to be mistakes. There are going to be missteps. Like I mean, for probably 3 years was eating this dish at a restaurant in downtown Boise that I legit thought was vegan because it had this like vegan sausage in it. I was told by someone who worked there. And come to find out, like 3 years later, I mean, I didn't eat it all the time, but come to find out it had egg whites in this sausage, that it wasn't vegan. And it's upsetting and it's bothersome and it's like kind of gross. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was eating that. It makes you feel kind of ugh. But it was an accident. I never did it on purpose. If you ask somebody at a restaurant if something's vegan and they come back and tell you it is, like, unless you ask to see the box, you might just have to trust that person. And if you find out later it's not vegan, it's okay. There's going to be missteps. There's going to be mistakes, but just learn from those and grow and then like move forward. Don't dwell on these things like, oh my gosh, I ate eggs and I can't even believe it. I feel so bad. Like it's over. It's done. Acknowledge it, learn from it, and move forward. And remember, going at your own pace is important, you know, so don't beat yourself up. It's go at your own pace. Don't compete with yourself either. Don't say, well, everyone else just went vegan and I just can't yet and I'm having problems with this and this. It's okay. Be yourself. Be unapologetically you. Be open and honest with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's just creating negative energy surrounding veganism for no reason, when it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be this thing that is just, I'm doing this and if I mess up, it's over. Because again, that doesn't get you any closer to your why. So love yourself for making an effort, and love yourself when you make a mistake because you get to learn from it, which is kind of exciting. So, you know, love yourself even if you're not perfect, which is just a good life motto anyway. Love yourself even if you're not perfect, because guess what? 0 human beings are perfect. Just remember that. So yeah, just remember to love yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's okay. Don't compare yourself with other people. Do your thing, because that's what's important. Or else you're not going to stick with it. And sticking with it is kind of the goal, the long-term sustainability goal. So that was tip number 4. Don't beat yourself up. Just don't do it. Not worth it. So tip number 5 is don't think of this as a diet. Think of this as a lifestyle. This was huge for me, and it's been huge for a lot of my clients and a lot of people in my group. They come into it thinking, especially if you're coming in for the health aspects, like, okay, this is a diet. What do I need to do? And how long do I need to do this for? And you know, but if you think of it as a lifestyle, more of a long-term thing, it can be really helpful. And the word diet just straight up turns me off. I mean, I think my dad always dieted when I was little, and I mean everybody in the 90s, I feel like everybody was just always on a diet when I was growing up, everybody around me. So that word immediately is just like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. And yes, our diet is what we're eating, so technically the diet is part of it, but there's been so much negative stigma around the word that many people just don't like to think of their food or what they're eating as a diet, because it makes it sound like a temporary thing. And that's kind of how it works in my brain too. It just sounds so temporary. So think of this as a long-term thing, a forever thing. A forever thing. Is that a song? Anyway, think of it as a lifestyle, and think of it in more ways than just food too, which can be really helpful. My mindset shifts. So your mindset's going to be shifting. Your compassion and your kindness starts to shift. It's not just about your food. It really is so much more than that. I have changed in so many ways besides just what my food's doing to me since I became vegan. It's just out of this world. I feel so much more connected to the planet I live on. I feel so much more connected to all living beings. I feel like I am on this vibration that I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it feels good, and I feel connected, and I feel open, and I've become so much more spiritual, and I want to exercise more because I feel healthy and I have more energy, and my relationships have improved because my compassion and my kindness have just skyrocketed. So it has been a lifestyle change for me. I mean, yeah, I went vegan and I lost some weight, which really wasn't my goal, but I needed to, which was amazing. And if you want to go vegan for 30 days to lose weight, you probably will if that's your goal. Or if you just want to go vegan overall to lose weight, if that's your goal, it's definitely doable. It's really easy if that's your goal, and you can be full and satisfied and healthy, and be full of the nutrients that you need. But it isn't just about that. It's about so much more. So think of it as a lifestyle change. Think of it as something that you're going to do for your life, and make it sustainable. So yeah, if you really want to go vegan and you really want to stay vegan and you really want to live in line with your morals and your values and what just feels right for you, then think of this as a lifestyle that can really, 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 really help. So those were my top 5 tips for new or aspiring vegans, but I have a little bonus tip for you because I just love you guys like that, and I had 6 tips and saying my top 6 tips isn't as catchy. So my bonus tip, aka tip number 6, would have to be find support. This is huge. So whether it's a Facebook group, which by the way, if you haven't joined my Facebook group yet, it's called How to Vegan, you should totally join. But meetups, there's like vegan meetup groups in a lot of areas, or vegetarian meetup groups that you can maybe join and try to see if there's any vegans there. Friends, any other friends that are vegan or vegetarian or interested, or that can at least support you, and family. Finding support is so important. Surround yourself with people who support you. So if you're surrounding yourself with people who are constantly tearing you down, like, this vegan thing again, like you're so annoying, you cause all these problems when you go to family get-togethers and friends gatherings, and just, I don't get why you're doing it. Like, you don't need that negativity. If your friends really love you and care about you, they'll want to know why you're doing something. They'll want to talk to you about it, and you can use that as an opportunity for education. Those little opportunities for education and teachable moments are very special, so take advantage of those. But find support. Surround yourself with people that love you. Not everyone needs a whole lot of support, but if you do, which I think most people do, or they really benefit from it, whether they think they do or not, then find support. Again, join my How to Vegan Facebook group if you haven't joined yet. It is a super loving, supportive, non-judgmental space for both vegans and non-vegans alike. You do not have to be vegan to be there. You can just linger in the background and check out recipes and questions people are asking, and I have a bunch of links and resources and all that stuff. Had to restart again because the good old battery or the camera stops recording after like 23 minutes. It just stops recording. I don't know if that's just Canons or all cameras or whatever, but it's kind of annoying when you're wanting to shoot a longer video. So if anybody has any recommendations for like a camera that works if you want to shoot longer videos but still vlog, then hit me up in the comments below, because yeah, I'm needing some help as far as that goes, because every single time I have to get up and hit record again. So if you're watching on YouTube, this is part of the unedited fun. So anyway, okay, back to what I was saying. So there are currently over 70,000 members in my How to Vegan Facebook group, and the vibes in there are just so damn good. I've really worked hard with my admins and my moderators to make sure that the vibe in there is positive and loving and non-judgmental. And it's just a very great space to be if you're needing some support and encouragement and ideas and inspiration. So go check out my How to Vegan group. We're having a blast in there. We always do. I love everybody in there, and it's just amazing. So that's a great place. And then find other Facebook groups. Maybe my group isn't your vibe. There's so many ways to find support. Even if it's a YouTube channel, like that helps me feel supported, is watching other vegan YouTubers and, you know, commenting with them and seeing what other people are commenting. And it's more of like a face, you know, you see their face, you see them talking about it. So maybe check out some vegan YouTubers. Wow, that's gonna be loud when I'm listening back to that. I probably should take some breaks and drink more water. And if you haven't checked out my YouTube channel yet, then, okay, I should say whatever I was saying before. Check out, I don't even know what I was saying. This is why the unedited versions are entertaining. Okay. So yeah, if you haven't checked out any vegan YouTubers, I would highly suggest it, because it is just a wealth of information, and it is amazing, and so such a supportive community. If you haven't checked out my YouTube channel yet, go check that out. It's just called Kristen Emily. I have tons of vegan videos, lifestyle videos, some daily vlogs, lots of travel vlogs, all of that stuff. So go scope that out. Again, links for all of this stuff will be in today's show notes for this episode. So scope those out after you're done listening for sure. So there you have it, my top 5 tips for new or aspiring vegans. I really hope these tips were helpful to you. If you're considering going vegan, then this is the first step to a beautiful journey. Seriously, going vegan changed my entire life. And that's like honestly why I'm sharing this stuff with all of you. I want other people to feel as good as I feel. I want other people to feel as connected to this planet and all living beings the way I do. I really just want to spread that vegan love as far and wide as possible. Vegan truly is the future, y'all. Like seriously, it's truly the future. So many people are going vegan. This is not going away. Yeah, we might be like 1% of the population right now, but in 5-10 years, that is going to increase enormously. This is not going away. So if you're listening to this podcast, then you're already ahead of the game. As always, then you're already ahead of the game. That was where I stopped on my notes. What am I doing? And then you're already ahead of the game. And then I just was gonna be like, peace out. So yeah, then you're already ahead of the game, which is huge. You're already educating yourself, you're already being aware, and just keep taking that momentum and move it forward, because this is not going anywhere. As always, the unedited version of we should start that over. As always, the unedited video version of this podcast will be up on the How to Vegan Podcast YouTube channel. There will be a link for that in the description or show notes as well. So if you prefer video or you just want to see my face while I'm talking to you, then go check that out for sure. It gets pretty entertaining. If you're watching any of these, it gets pretty entertaining, that's for damn sure, especially when my cat Monkey gets involved. He likes to jump up on things, I have to like spray him with a water bottle, and it gets pretty entertaining. So make sure to check out that. So yeah, it gets pretty entertaining. And make sure to check out this episode's show notes for links to everything I've mentioned, as well as links to my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Twitter, all that jazz. I even have a link for a free downloadable pantry essentials shopping list with all of my fridge, freezer, and pantry essentials for you. So go click on that, print that off, and you'll be all set to stock up your kitchen the next time you hit the grocery store. So thank you so much again for tuning in. I truly hope this episode was helpful for you guys. If you liked what you heard, then please again go leave a little review and rating in iTunes. That would be awesome. And check the podcast out on SoundCloud as well. And I'll just catch you guys in the next episode of the How to Vegan podcast. Peace out.